If you want internet access on a cruise, you may be asking yourself, what's the best option for internet? Is it the cruise line sponsor program or is it a one through your cell phone carrier? For this comparison, I'm doing Carnival Cruises as well as Verizon Wireless. Even though I'm talking about those two specifically, the lessons from this is going to pretty much translate to almost any cruise line. For example, most cruise lines use Starlink, like Royal Caribbean, Carnival, and many more, so the speeds are not going to vary by much. Pricing may vary from cruise line to cruise line, but the cell phone carriers, pretty much all universal, is pretty much $20 flat. Even though I didn't do an actual speed test, I did a real life use test. So I'm going to jump right into it. First, the price. As I mentioned, the Verizon is $20. Same thing with AT&T. With Carnival, they have 3 tiers of plans. 2 of them which are under $20. They're cheaper than Verizon. And they have 1 premium package which is above $20, which is about 23 and some change on my specific selling. So you've been asking what's all included. Basically, in the Carnival's bottom 2 packages is you don't give streaming. The first one, the lowest one, you basically get emails and text message. The mid-tier one, you get a little more internet access, but nothing that could give you live streaming access. If you want live streaming, you gotta go with the top tier program, which is about 23 some change. So as you can already see, if you don't need super fast internet, the first programs are just fine. If you're not doing live streaming, easily clear winner, cheaper one's going to take the cake. What I'm specifically going to talk about on this one is the fast service. Is the $23 better than the $20 you get with Verizon when it comes to speed? Well, a little more details now about the Verizon plan. What does $20 Verizon get you? It gets you half a gig of high-speed, super fast internet, which is great because if you're streaming, half gigs, super fast. Texting, great. Calling, great. I've had no issues with this whatsoever until it's a half gig mark. When you hit the half gig mark, it goes from high-speed internet to 3G speeds. So it's pretty much equivalent at that point to the Carnival's lower 2 plans. Except that you can still live stream, but as you can see, I'm live streaming from a blog's point of view, and you can see the service is kind of spotty. It's a little grainy. This was taken on my phone and live streamed from YouTube. And from YouTube, after you live stream and you're done, you could take that save files, upload it to YouTube, and save it, and it was very grainy. Versus the phone that I was using on the Carnival was just fine. It was high-speed internet all the way. There's no lagging. So as you can see, once you hit the half gig, it's very laggy. Versus on Carnival, half gig or not, it's unlimited high-speed internet with the highest tier plan. Another note that I may have forgotten to mention was I tested this side by side. So I had 2 phone devices, one on the Verizon plan and one on the Carnival plan. The premium plan specifically. And what I noticed on live streaming on both devices is with Verizon, as you walked across the ship, you dropped in and out of service as you went from one router to another, I assume. With the Carnival plan, the transition from router to router was a lot smoother. You had a lot less drops as you walk from front of the ship and back to the ship. You do have a drop here and there. You go to the elevator, go down a few floors, that does happen. But on Verizon, it happened noticeably a lot more often. Why? I don't know. The plan on AT&T works very similar to Verizon. They're almost one of the same. A few of the terms may differ, but it's practically the same thing. So be sure to double check on that. In conclusion, is it worth it to get the Verizon plan? Well, the fact that it has a half gig limit on high speed is the caveat with this, because if you want high speed internet, you can pay a few bucks to get the fast plan on Carnival for $3 extra a day. However, if you're only trying to do this for texting and calling capabilities, Carnival has other plans that are cheaper than Verizon, so why would you get Verizon? Or AT&T works almost the exact same way. And some cruise lines have cheaper chat features like Carnival, $5 for the chat for an entire cruise. However, that chat is very buggy, so I wouldn't just solely rely on that chat feature. that only enables you to message people on the cruise as well. If you're trying to communicate outside, other Carnival plans work just fine. If you're trying to just upload pictures or text and call somebody, the Verizon plan is more per day than the Carnival plan, so why would you get the Verizon? However, there was one caveat with that. If you're planning to not message during the entirety of the cruise, you may look into single-use plans, like per day. For example, Verizon, you only pay on the days you use it. Once you message, you're entered into the 24-hour period. Yes, you do have to text a specific number, a specific code to do that, so keep that in mind. But that 24-hour timer starts. So if you only need to message someone from 1 or 2 days on the cruise because the rest of your cruise is port days, Verizon may end up being a better deal. But also, Carnival has single day use plans as well. So personally, I don't see a very big use for the cellular plan on cruises for internet and calling and texting over Carnival's plan. Same thing would apply to Royal Caribbean. On Virgin Voyages, a cruise I just came off of, the texting and calling, basic Wi-Fi is already included in the plan. So why would I pay Verizon to do that? If I want a high-speed internet, Virgin Voyages does have an extra tier for extra high-speed internet. If you don't need high-speed internet, it's included in your fare on Virgin Voyages. Another thing to keep in mind is not all cruise lines have options with cellular carriers. For example, Virgin Voyages does, Carnival does, Royal Caribbean does, many other do, but Margaritaville at Sea does not. I just got off that ship last week, and I wanted to do another test with this on Margaritaville, and they didn't offer it. And specifically, it was a scenario that I gave earlier to where 2 of our days were port days. Then we had a day, of course, we took off from the ship, and then a day that we returned. So really, we only need internet for maybe 2 days of the cruise. So I'm going to use those vouchers on the day to Cozumel from Tampa, and on the day and the way back from Cozumel from Tampa, instead of buying for the entirety of the cruise. So that would be one that probably the only scenario I see being worth it. But Marvel doesn't have a partnership with Verizon or TNT to do that. That's what I think. What do you think about this? Would you go through your cell phone carrier for internet at sea, or are you going with the cruise line? Let me know in the comments down below. And stay tuned for a lot more cruise content coming soon.